A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 196th episode of the Together for Education webinars brought to you by Notebook. 2.5 years back, when the pandemic raged outside our windows and schools had closed down, we here at Notebook felt it was our responsibility to set up a platform for educators to connect meaningfully on discussing problems they were facing with the rising need of digital education and online learning and arrive at common solutions. Today, 196 episodes later, this platform has grown much bigger than we could have ever anticipated. All thanks to your love and support. We have discussed extremely curricular topics here like digital learning, NEP and assessments, extracurricular topics like sports and theatre, topics like school finance and management, and even evolved topics like mental health. Our today's topic is yoga and meditation in schools. Yoga and meditation have always been the essence of the ancient education ecosystem. With the passage of time, technology taking over the classrooms and school systems, students are gradually losing touch with their inner self. And whatever we try to correct and address, the paths of yoga and meditation will never lose importance. Indian yoga was inscribed into the Intangible Cultural Heritage List by UNESCO in December 2016. And it's time, ladies and gentlemen, that we truly embrace this ancient practice into our school environs to have a wonderful future ahead for our kids. With that, we welcome our first speaker on this topic, Mr. Burrett. Mr. Burrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster of the illustrious Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in education across various institutions. Mr. Burrett served the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Activities, Dean of Student Welfare, Deputy Headmaster, Second Master, and Acting Headmaster with great distinction. He also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in the year 2011 through an in-depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Burrett qualified as a leadership trainer at Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He's also an athlete, an adventurer, and a nationalist. And we here at Notebook are truly privileged to have Mr. Burrett as our senior advisor. So, a very good evening and over to you.
Thank you very much, Gagori. I hope I'm audible and visible.
Absolutely, sir.
A lovely topic. I'm going to talk a little about yoga and meditation as the way I saw it in schools, practiced in the school I was in. But I'm also going to do a little wider look at wellness and mindfulness. We've all heard that we've heard the adage of a sound mind and a healthy body. And schools do a very good job of educating the mind and body. But sometimes what happens is we leave out what we call the soul, the spirit. The nurturing of a deeper self needs to be addressed. And as Gagori rightly mentioned in the beginning, we need to get in touch with our deeper selves and not live life only at a superficial external level. Today, our children are leading far more stressful lives. We live in a more fragile environment that didn't exist 40 years ago. Life was simpler, food and air was cleaner and purer, and the rat race for marks and college competition was not there. To add to this, we have the problem of easy availability of drugs, sexual emancipation, relationship and identity issues, risk-taking behavior, busy or single parents, broken or abusive households, risk-taking behavior, and so therefore suicides, depression, mental illness, rash driving, anxiety, body piercing is all leading to the fact that our young people are today very confused. And therefore, I think mindfulness in education, which it needs to be brought in some way or the other. It increases focus, attention span, self-control, participation, compassion, improved academic performance, ability to resolve conflicts, overall well-being, decreased levels of stress, depression, anxiety, and disruptive behavior. Now, the word mindfulness is a bit of a catchphrase. It's actually a secularized version of practices that draw from religions like Buddhism and Hinduism. It might include things like focusing on the senses, deep regular breathing, mental exercises designed to promote awareness and kindness. And mindfulness today has become a very popular technique where one is forced to live in the present moment. We've heard books from written by Eckhart Tolle how important it is to live in the now, because the future brings, anxiety, and the past always brings regret. But the now is the main time that we need to focus on. So it involves learning how to pay attention, to manage feelings and behavior, to improve resilience, and to face external stressors. Now, as Gogori mentioned earlier, the National Curriculum and Framework 2005 recommended that yoga be an integral part of the health and physical education. And, physical education is a compulsory subject from 1 to 10, but optional in classes 11 and 12. It is taught as a compulsory subject only for form 6 to 10, but only in government-run or government, sponsored schools. However, in my experience and my travels around the schools here, I think most schools are doing yoga, but not all schools are practicing life skills and meditative practice. Now, my take is that once you make something compulsory, the kids lose interest in it. And, mindfulness and yoga and any such thing, a lot depends on the personality of the individual teacher conducting it or meeting with the class, more than the curriculum or what is planned. I think it's the teacher that's important. I think most Western schools that I have visited have realized the importance of well-being as a part, an integral part of the holistic education package. I was for 10 days at a school called Wellington College, where I did a course. They have a program on happiness, which was developed in-house by dedicated teachers that drew from many traditions like yoga, Tai Chi, the Buddhist bell meditation, the Christian chanting, all put together to form a curriculum of life skills, value education, and happiness. At the Doon School, we had our own wellness center, which was attached to the school hospital, where the counselor sat, and we also had a place for meditation. We also had a teacher teaching life skills and physical sexual health programs to everybody in school. And today the buzzword in the most progressive schools is life skills and PSHE, which is physical sexual health. And mindfulness is all a part of that. Again, as Howard Gardner said, there are many different types of intelligences. And there are children who I have met who are naturally drawn to a spiritual, religious type of, they're interested in these things. They are the quieter children. They are the people who sometimes get bullied. They turn to be priests and naturalists and mind trainers, yoga teachers, animal lovers. And I find that these children sometimes lose out in the hustle and bustle of a physical, mental type of curriculum. We need to cater to these very, very deep souls. I think when I was teaching in Delhi, this was 1980s, 85, we introduced meditation to every class. And I took a course in meditation, how we sit in quiet with a soft music playing in the background. And I took these boys through a half an hour, 15-minute meditation. Initially, I thought, I looked at myself and I said, these boys must be laughing at us. But many years later, you won't believe me, when many of my boys wrote to me when I had left the school and said, those 15 minutes were probably the most meaningful time of our school life. The children actually want it. It's we adults who shy away from it. When I was at the Doon School, my chairman and headmaster were very interested in bringing in some sort of meditative practice like Scindia School has. Scindia School has a beautiful auditorium, an outdoor theater, which faces the setting sun. And quietly, all the students line up over there before dinner and just sit in silence. I've never been to it, but I believe it's the most beautiful setting, and it's a part of their value system and traditions. And so therefore, we wanted to introduce something to do with contemporary religion, some sort of meditative practice at the Doon School. And I even went to Bombay and I visited Shalini, the Brahma Kumari person who used to come on television. And we said we would take it up. And that year, the Dalai Lama was chief guest to one of our big functions in school. And the whole movement towards meditation began with the Dalai Lama's visit. And we started doing something towards contemporary religions, even though we were a secular school. You can see the impact that people like Baba Ramdev and Satguru and Sri Ravi Shankar have had on the Indian population, and not only in India. The yoga was actually, it started here hundreds of years ago, but it was popularized, by Bikram Yoga and all those people who went abroad. And I also went to a school in the US, a very, very important school called St. Philip's Exeter, where every student practices the Thich Nhat Hanh method of mindfulness. They mindfully eat, they mindfully walk. A lot of things they do with the whole idea of being mindful. And I think it's important, we teach children all the core subjects and we leave them to select their major subjects later. Similarly, we teach children all the sports and we allow them to choose their specialization later. Similarly, I believe that we need to give children, when they're young, some meaning in their lives through meditation or yoga, something deeper than their normal physical lives, and let them choose later what they want to do. As I said earlier, mindfulness is about how you walk, how you eat, how you treat people. In many schools, when a child needs to be punished, he's sent to the principal's office. I think that children should be sent to a quiet place as a meditative place. Let them reflect on what they did wrong. There should be a place which has quiet music, which is probably has some serene plants, yoga mats, and let them sit down there and think about what they have done. Deep breathing, under a yoga instructor is better than sending him up to the principal's office. I think to help students cope, and we turn to mindfulness because it boosters the claim that most kids benefit. Research backs this up. Children who practice meditation do better in school. They don't fight. They're calmer. They can take conflict better. I think some critics, of course, say that this doesn't work. Mindfulness does not appear to boost well-being because children lose interest in it. And something like mindfulness and yoga cannot be successful if it's done once a week in school. It has to be an ongoing process which is practiced at home. So if a child is just doing it in school, it's not going to be effective. I think teachers need to also get onto the bandwagon. It is the teacher who imbibes this, who believes in the importance, who can convey this to the children. I think that the teacher burnout and the stress of teachers can be greatly reduced if teachers take to it first. It has been shown that students who did engage in mindfulness improved, but it takes time. It's not something that'll show overnight. And children these days want quick fixes. They want something to show results fast. Yoga and meditation does not show fast results. So while mindfulness sessions can be hugely beneficial, I leave that with the crowd. It's important to understand that it's just a surface level intervention. How teenagers and children respond to it will be affected by the content in which it's being taught and the whole school environment. There is no point teaching meditation and yoga if they're aggressive, if the school has a very aggressive look and feel to it, if people are fighting, if staff are aggressive. I think it's important that it's a whole school activity. And with that, I must say, I've groped a bit on this topic. I look forward to hearing the views of Achin and our experts. Thank you so much for listening. And I hand it over now to Garg.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for those wonderful deliberations. Indeed, the school environment truly matters a lot. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we would welcome our next speaker on this topic, Mr. Achin Bhattacharyya. Achin is the founder and CEO at Notebook. A chartered accountant by training, Achin was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, KPMG, and L.A.D. Achin is a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, a fellow of the ICAI, a member of CP Australia and CP Ireland, and a member of CIMA UK. He is also the recipient of the prestigious Indian Achievers Award. An avid reader and a passionate traveler, Achin has keen interests in economics, history, literature, and philosophy. He is a regular speaker at various forums and chambers of commerce and also contributes articles to numerous publications regularly. He is also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates and contributes significantly to their brand strategies. Achin, a very good evening and over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Gauri, am I audible?
Absolutely.
I once again welcome all of you to today's session on a topic which is very close to my heart. Now, for a very long time, I have felt this, and I'm sure many of us would agree, that today when we teach our children, we all understand that we live in a world which is dynamic and ever-changing. So who knows what technology will be by the time they go to work? And how much of what they're learning today will actually be relevant? However, on the other side, if we look at the stress, the various kinds of stress that we as adults endure, seldom are the chances that their basic nature will change. They'll remain the same. Stress with regard to maybe finances, with regard to someone being gainfully employed, buying a house, relationships, families, dealing with life and death. The question is, how do we teach our younger people, our next generation, to deal with all of this effectively, with calmness, with composure? And I think that's where the relevance of this beautiful topic comes in, to actually prepare them for the journey of life. Very recently, I was reading a very beautiful story, real life story, where a teacher stumbled across a book called Relax Kids, Aladdin's Magic Carpet. So it was a book of about 52 guided meditations, very cleverly disguised as familiar stories as The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, Jack and the Beanstalk. So I was reading about this, that this particular teacher, he's written that he was a new entrant, a new teacher in a primary school in an underprivileged area, an area which had a bad reputation. And children, for many of them, he was the only source of knowledge. So he had a huge responsibility on his shoulders to be a ray of hope, to make them feel good. Now, he was determined with all honesty and sincerity to make school and education a positive experience for the children. And hence, he introduced mindfulness and meditation in his class. And in his own words, I was going through this, he very beautifully explained as to what happened. He implemented relaxed moments 3 times a day. So as soon as the class started, after a break or after lunch, the process was very simple. We breathe properly. From the diaphragm. And sometimes we imagine our breath being a certain color or sounding like the sea. And then some gentle stretches, often accompanied by calming music. So students knew whenever they hear this kind of music being played, it was a signal to them to be quiet and take few deep breaths. There's also a full hour of mindfulness and meditation every week, with more stretching, affirmation, visualization. And the difference was unimaginable, very quickly visible. And as I told you, And I was reading about this teacher, and he explained his entire experience, like a country in Latin America, very violence prone, mostly first generation learners, single parents. And he explained that he was so happy to see children during those moments of mindfulness, forgetting about the world, even just for a little while. And after a few sessions, they were more gentle, more calmer, more settled, and they were in a position to discuss their feelings, their anxieties, their worries much more fluently. It's not that the entire process was very smooth. Initially, there were challenges. There were challenges in them being able to stand still. And many of them, in spite of persuasion by the teacher, were not ready or didn't dare to close their eyes, which signified lack of trust. They seemed afraid of what might happen if they let it go for a moment. But the turning point, and he again explained this very beautifully, was when one of the boys, who was otherwise very socially awkward, not very engaged in terms of his studies, but he volunteered to come forward and lead his friends, stand in front of them and demonstrate this mindfulness techniques. And post that, every child volunteered. They wanted to lead the session, they wanted to come forward, and it proved exceptionally powerful. So I think today's topic, if you see, is a very, very relevant one. For instance, when it comes to yoga, what's our first impression? Various difficult poses, controlled breathing, or meditation. In the eyes of many, I'll say most of them, it's a form of self-cultivation, where practitioners look to achieve physical and mental unity. But I think that's just one small aspect of yoga. The area is huge. It is one of the 6 schools of Hindu philosophical traditions aiming to unite human spirit with the divine. And archaeological findings have shown that it was practiced even 5,000 years ago. The Pashupati seal, which was discovered at a site dating back to Indus Valley civilization, depicts a figure in a meditation pose. The word yoga was first mentioned in Rig Veda, which in Sanskrit means to attach, to join, to harness, yoke. So, of course, roots are very, very deep. Thousands of years of tradition, culture. And yoga practices were first referred to in writing in the Upanishads, and extensive teaching of yoga emerged in several centuries later in various texts. Even if you look at Bhagavad Gita, for instance, which introduced 3 prominent types of yoga, which are so important and relevant for everyone: Karma yoga, yoga of action; Bhakti yoga, yoga of devotion; and Gyan yoga, the yoga of knowledge. Around 400 BC, Indian sage Patanjali compiled the Yoga Sutras, which laid the foundation of yoga theory and practice that we practice today. And post that, as we all know, not only in India, but globally, it has become so popular. Millions of people across the world are practicing it every day and have been benefited from it. Rishikesh now has so many yoga centers which attract people from all over the world. And in fact, it has earned the nickname as the yoga capital of the world. I was reading a survey which said, and this was figures were like 6 years back, 2016, which said that in US alone, 36.7 million people practice yoga every day. And this was just for one country. We're just discussing about US. In India, of course, in every household, you'll find elders. So the other thing is, I came across a very interesting study recently, which was conducted in 2015 in Harvard. And the study consisted of 210 healthy adults who were taken. One thing common between them was high level of stress, high level of reported chronic stress for more than 6 months. So these 210 people were divided into 3 groups. 70 of them performed a form of yoga known as Kundalini. Another 70 meditated. And the rest, which is the balance, which is the other 70, listened to stress education audiobooks. And all of this for 20 minutes a day at home. So 210 people divided into 3 groups, 70 each, 70 doing yoga, 70 doing meditation, and rest 70 listening to stress education audiobooks. And as you are aware, most of you are aware that Kundalini is a form of yoga that incorporates meditation, breathing exercise, and recitation of shlokas, in addition to postures. Now, participants came into the lab for weekly instruction for 2 months, followed by 3 sessions, where they were given various questions to answer. At later point of time, it was also accompanied by giving blood samples used for genomic analysis, undergoing neuroimaging tests. So not only the psychological aspect, but also its effect on physical health was monitored, was tested. And unlike earlier studies, this was one which really focused on participants with high level of stress. And the results were published in a medical journal, which showed that one session of relaxation response practice was enough to enhance expression of genes involved in energy metabolism and insulin secretion, and reduce expression of genes linked to inflammatory response and stress. And Harvard is not the only place where such kind of research has taken place. Research on yoga. Very recently, another study was published a few years back, where scientists at University of California at Los Angeles and one of the Nobel Prize winner, Elizabeth Blackburn, found that 12 minutes of daily yoga meditation, only 12 minutes of daily yoga meditation for 8 weeks increased telomerase activity by 43%, which suggested dramatic improvement in reducing stress-induced aging. Only 12 minutes per day for 8 weeks. And the effect was like beyond imagination. So there's no doubt about it. And at times we all understand that it's not possible for everyone maybe to stick to a very daily regime of rigorous exercise, going to the gym, or really, walking for miles. But simply knowing breathing management techniques, for instance, and having better understanding of stress management can help build resilience. So there's a very beautiful quote that I read, which was quoted by Bloomberg, that yoga and meditation are tools for enabling us to swim in difficult waters. So these are a few thoughts that I wanted to share. Of course, today's topic with regard to teaching yoga and meditation in schools is a very specific and very relevant one. I think Burrett has given us a wonderful introduction to the topic with his experience. And we are a very senior and experienced panel here today, panel of educators with decades of experience, senior principals. And I really look forward to hear from them, their take on this important topic. I thank all of you for giving me a patient hearing. Over to you, Gauri.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Achin, for this wonderful deliberation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to discuss this topic, we do have a wonderful panel lined up for you today. But before we start with the panel discussion, a little bit about us here at Notebook. We at Notebook are an edtech platform that creates short videos pertaining to the school curriculum. This means that every topic from every subject of the school syllabus has been converted into a series of short videos that can be used in 2 different cases. One is when you as a teacher are starting out a topic in your classroom, you can play one of these videos as a method of visually introducing the topic to your students. These videos are just 6 to 10 minutes in duration and take up very little of your class time while offering the right kind of material. Second is when, months later, you teach the same topic to your students at home, they get the exact feel and look of the video you have taught them in classroom months back. So with that, what I'm going to do now is play you some short snippets of Notebook videos so that you know exactly how they look like.
Hello everyone. In this video, we shall learn about sound and its properties. Couldn't hear that, right? That's how important sound is. When energy is transferred from one form to another, one of the forms of energy it can be converted to is sound. When we press a doorbell, electric energy is converted to sound energy as the bell sounds.
The duck realizes that roaming the world can only be possible with the kangaroo's help. The duck persuades the kangaroo to give him a ride and promises to move and speak very little during the journey. Think of the places that the duck aspires to visit: the D and Jelly-Bolly. These are obviously imaginary places, and the names given to them are a classic feature of nonsense poetry.
Imagine how would you feel if nobody came to collect the garbage from your houses, or if nobody took initiative to clean the clogged drains in your locality? If garbage and filth continue piling up around us, there are more possibilities of us falling ill. Therefore, public cleanliness is essential for individual health. In order to remain healthy, we also need the steady supply of food. To obtain food, we need to earn it by doing work. For this, opportunities for work should also be available.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, those were some short snippets from notebook videos as you just now saw. We have today connected with over 3,500 schools and have had more than 44 lakh students benefit from our videos. If you head over to our website www.notebook.school or use our mobile apps for Android and iOS, you would find more than 10,000 such videos at your disposal. With that, it is now time to introduce the wonderful panelists that we have with us today. We have with us today Mr. Rajan Khurana, Principal, L.A.D.M, D.A.V Senior Public School, New Delhi. Sir has been in the field of education for more than 20 years, which includes experience as a principal for more than 16 years. Prior to his current assignment, he has worked in the capacity of principal in schools like Rigveda International School, Tohana, Haryana, Golden Earth Convent School, Jogewala, Moga, Broadway Public School, Manal, Barnala. He has visited different foreign locations in pursuit of the academic exposure, including the Space Aeronautics Workshop at Gagarin Research and Test Cosmonaut Training Center, Star City, Russia. Sir, a very good evening and welcome to the panel. Next, we have with us Ms. Geeta S., Principal, Bharati Public School, Gurgi, Karnataka. Ma'am holds a bachelor degree in education, postgraduate diploma in system management and chemistry, and a B.Ed. She has a total experience of 25 years, which includes 12 years as a principal. Prior to her current role, she has worked in other prestigious schools like Edify School, Patna, Achin Group of Institutions, Pondicherry, and a leading DPS school in Nepal. Ma'am has also been working extensively as a public speaking coach, special single parent coach, and career planning coach. Ma'am, a very good evening and welcome to the panel. We also have with us today Mrs. Manjula Garg, Principal, Mahaveer Academy, Madhavpuram, Meerut. She's an enthusiast, dedicated, and a resourceful academician with a positive approach towards new teaching technology. Ma'am holds an MA in Philosophy, Education, and English, B.Ed, and an MA. Her core competencies include school administration, program development, curriculum development and implementation, student discipline, student and community relations. Prior to her current role, she has been associated with schools like D.A.V Kids School and D.A.V Global School, Kharkhoda, Mysis International School, Meerut, Maple Academy, Budhana. Ma'am, a very, very good evening and welcome to the panel. I would request all the panelists to kindly unmute themselves and switch on their cameras, please.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. If I can come to Rajan Khurana, sir, first, if it's okay. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
Khurana,
very
am
good
I
evening.
audible? Good evening, ma'am.
Sorry, sir?
Am I audible?
Absolutely, sir. You're absolutely audible and visible also.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks.
So my first
Thank you.
question to you is, so how do you take the concept of yoga and meditation in your schools and particularly in your classrooms? And how do you develop this as an art in the school?
Let me share one incident with you first before telling that. A few days back, I was there in the classroom and some concept was going on. And I was telling the students that how important it is to obey the parents. And even if the parents are wrong, then also sometimes you need to stay quiet. I gave them one example. I told them, beta, suppose at your home guests are there and your father is scolding you for one thing, for that mistake which you have not done. So you have two options. One is to follow whatever your father is saying, and at the lateral stage, your father is angry now, and at the lateral.
So you're muted.
So you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, actually, one call was there in between. I have disconnected. So I told that if the father is scolding for the mistake which you have not done, then you have two options. One is just to fight back, to argue back. The another is just to obey. If you'll fight back, you'll argue back, then the guest would be thinking that you are not a good student, might not be knowing that whether your mistake is there or not. And if you'll be silent and you'll be obedient towards your parents, then the guests might be saying that child is very good and every parents must have a such type of a child with them. So this was the concern. After this class, certain other things we shared. And then after when I came out, and then 3 students came to me, the boys, and they requested, and I was not ready for that. And it was, you can say that I was very shocked to listen, but it was necessary. The students told me that, sir, if you are the principal of school and when we have one suggestion for you. I said, okay, fine, better go ahead. They told that, sir, we want that in the school, there must be the anger management classes. Because whatever you were saying is a routine at our home. And we are becoming angry, but if certain anger management classes would be there, then it would be very beneficial. So the concept was that yes, we are losing control and nobody is there to guide us. And being educationists, I think that it is our responsibility too, that beside education, sports, cultural, co-curricular, we must think upon such type of things also, like yoga, anger management classes, meditation. It is very important. Then after I told my teachers, my moral value teacher, that better whenever you go to any class, do one thing. At least for 3 minutes, command your students to close your eyes and sit in silence. Because in general, we close our eyes and stay in silence whenever we are feeling sleepy. I don't think so that in our routine, even being principal, being teachers, being entrepreneur, and we might not have the habit to sit in silence for some time. So we have started giving that to the student, beta, whenever that moral value lecture is there, and that the teacher is commanding the students to stay in silence. And whenever they are opening the eyes, sometimes I'm taking the feedback. They're saying that they feel it very fresh and very nice. And I think so that it was very good experience. In the school, we are following that. And in assembly, various other yogasanas are there, which we are doing. And this is the need of the hour, but I think so. I have listened to the various panelists. Yes, very deep knowledge they have given, but I have shared one concern with you people, that what was it and how we have followed, how we have started that. Because what I feel that forgetfulness is equally important as learning is. And the main thing is that we are not able to forget the things. And I think so that if one friend has told anything to another friend, the teacher has scolded, as a student, the students are enabled to, it is not vanishing from their heads. So I think so that meditation is helping us also, and it can help all the students worldwide. So it is a very good initiative that you have taken. From my side, I wanted to share this only.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your deliberation, sir.
Thank you.
If I can come to Geeta ma'am next, if it's okay, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, please.
Yeah, ma'am. So my question would be like, what are the measures you're following in your school, and how is it beneficial? Like, do you see a rising curve, a learning curve for yoga and meditation schools with your experience for the last so many years?
Sure. Thank you so much, Gagri ma'am, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is the subject which actually should have walked into our classrooms long before. And I'm so happy that this term and this subject is now being talk of the education edu space. So I'm really happy, and I'm confident that we are moving in the right direction. Yes, practicing yoga and meditation is an important element, because if you just take the word yoga, the meaning of the word yoga itself is to link, to connect, and to join together. And if you see that we as human beings, we are existing on this earth, coexisting with the other organisms of the earth, and having a harmony amongst us, and having a peaceful stay on earth as long as we are alive, it's an important task. And the only organisms which can ensure happiness and peace on earth are the human being. And we somehow, in the race of digital revolution, we have gone ahead to invent things in such a way that we have forgotten that radiations are going to harm the organisms around. We've just been in the race of evolution in terms of just inventions, not actually consciously looking into the aspects of the very basic thing which we are all on this earth, that is existing. We've forgotten to exist, and we have done everything else apart from that. So I think that has to be taught young, because catch them young is a phrase which we all know. So if you really want a peaceful existence or a coexistence on earth, we need to help the children at least, because we couldn't do much about it as the adults. So the only human beings which we can actually bank upon are the children who are inside the classroom. They should ensure a better well-being on earth as human beings. So how do we bring that inside the classrooms? Okay. The first and the foremost thing is helping the educators understand to be self-regulated and being self-aware, because as you all know, academics has to be wed with socio-emotional learning techniques if you really want the true learning to happen inside classroom. And the basic element of socio-emotional learning is self-regulation and self-awareness. So metacognition is one of the very important element which needs to be practiced in schools. The first educators practicing it, of course, educating the parents about it, and of course, the children doing it. I saw Rajan sir was speaking about the escalating behavior in classrooms. The children are seeing role models across. Children learn from the environment around us, and we do not know how to exactly handle the classrooms. We find the teachers banging with the dusters so that the class is quiet. That is an escalating behavior, which as parents, we shout at children at home saying that, if you want some instructions to be followed, because we feel shouting is the only way, or, saying aloud is the only way that people hear. So those escalating aggressive behavior has to come down, and that can come down by we becoming the best role models, because they learn from us. The moment we say children, in a very soft voice, children will follow that voice and they will listen to you. But what do we do inside the classrooms? We start shouting the multiplication tables, writing on the blackboards. So the children pick up only shouting, and they understand that if we need to be heard, we don't listen. We just hear people. So if you really want to be heard, we need to shout. So that's one practice. I think we becoming role models would be the first, I would say. Second would be, we have this practice. We used to practice it in Pondicherry when I was a principal there. We had this tiffin breaks, and the moment the tiffin break is about to start, we had a long bell ringing. And my security guard or my ayah sitting on the corridors, or the washroom ayahs, or everybody in the campus used to drop whatever things they were doing, sit down wherever they are. And there was music which was played, and the whole campus was meditating for 5 minutes. And children were made to hold hands together. It's called as the oneness, the feeling of oneness. And somehow I saw a great soul expansion happening inside the campus. And believe me, if this we could teach the children, being mindful at every moment and to express your emotions, you just have to be comfortable with expressing it the way you are. Allowing the child to express inside the classroom, if the child is angry or upset, the child should be allowed to express. We do not allow it. And we say that, we as adults, we can do anything. We can shout, we can do. But then as child, how dare you speak to me like that? And then what happens? Can you imagine? 12 years, the child has not been allowed to express. And suddenly the child is thrown into the world called as the competitive world. And the child, now you are asking the child to regulate their emotions. Did we actually help them to know how to handle anger? Did we teach them how to handle when they're upset? Did we teach them that if you are disagreeing with something, how to disagree with humility? We haven't taught them. So I believe every campus should say, it's okay if you're upset. It's okay if you're angry. It's okay if you are, sad. Express it. So the third I would say is allow the child to express in the campus. That would really bring a good revolution, because children know we can always speak to the child. Okay, I understand you were upset and that's why you were shouting. But you know what? These are the different ways you could have addressed it. When we say and educate how to handle their emotions, it becomes very easy for them. We don't do it. Because I feel that subjects are just excuses to walk inside the classroom, because they are tools to connect with the future citizens. They are not the ultimate. Syllabus coverage is not the ultimate of life. And curriculum it actually means educating them for life. So I'm so happy this yoga and meditation is walking inside the campus, and we are going to do, a big change in the edu space as well because of this, because it is really going to help the future citizens to become more self-aware and become better responsible citizens on earth than I think we were. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity, Gaguri ma'am. And I wish that this abundance of yoga and the abundance of the benefits of meditation soon walks inside along with NEP into our campus. All the best to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for those wonderful inputs. I think the example which you quoted from Pondicherry School was really, meant a lot to all of us. We learned so many. It can happen in such a way in a school campus. Really gives so much of motivation to us that yes, it can be done that way. Thank you, ma'am. I would move on to thanks, ma'am. I would come to Manjula ma'am next. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everyone.
Ma'am, my question to you is about the benefits we have to reap in from the practice of yoga and meditation, and what are the measures you're following in your school in particular to promote yoga and meditation?
Thank you so much, Gagori ma'am, for putting up this kind of topic in front of us. Just because sometimes we also need reminders, and like all the dignitaries, what we have listened from them, like Philip sir was saying, I'm totally agree with him that rather than taking a child to the principal's office, just send the child in a calm place, and so that the child can admit or realize his or her mistake. Deed, what the child is doing. And first of all, we need to understand the meaning of yoga. Meaning of yoga is very, very wide. But what we people are doing nowadays, only a little bit asanas and stretching of the body, and a little bit shuksham yoga ko hum yoga samajh rahe hain. So, which is not right in the moment. In Gurgaon, I agree that so many schools imbibed yoga as a curriculum, but what they are doing, what many people, I'm not focusing on particular school, but many schools are just teaching a minimum activities of yoga. But what actual yoga is? That is much awaited curriculum, which very soon will be released by CBSE. And as I am in here to talk about the benefits of yoga, this is totally related with the personality development. And first of all, I will share that it reduces stress and anxiety. The positivity, what we need to run our life, it it drives it. It never comes suddenly. It will take time. And as I have also implemented so many things related with yoga, exercise, and sports, which is really essential in a school for a student to grow. So what I observed in last 3 years, before corona, before pandemic, during pandemic, my students were just quiet, and after pandemic, what I'm observing, and I think all the educationists will be agree with it, that they are physically totally unfit, mentally and physically. Just because they are putting up weight, and their activities are so much limited. And through yoga, what I have introduced, and honestly speaking, I have introduced yoga before 1 year only. And what I'm seeing, just to see the lazy and clumsiness of my students, I initiated to take up yoga classes thrice in a week, only thrice in a week, just because curriculum completion is also a burden on us, and so many different activities conducted by CBSE. Really, we need to accomplish all these tasks apart from academics. So thrice in a week, my students go in open environment. It is in assembly hall. It is and where what I am finding, ma'am, that really the students have turned, they are changed, their behavior is changed. And definitely yoga, after spending 45 minutes in a calm position, in a position where they are just talking to themselves, so it improves their attention span also. If they are doing yoga before studying, like in the first period what we are practicing here, so what I'm thinking, what I'm observing, that their negativity removes, what they are bringing from home and what they are thinking here, they are full of energy, and that time we need to channelize their energy. So and of course it creates their self-esteem, and weight management is also a part of that yoga activity, and it improves their physical well-being and attention also, and the quality of sleep also, which is really very disturbing due to that online classes. And we all were observed that the students who were taking continuously online classes, they were struggling with insomnia, which they were not sleeping properly. They were dreaming a lot. They were just hustle bustle. Their sleep is very disturbed. But after doing yoga, after a regular spending of time in that assembly hall, big hall, and it is quite calm and structured like this कि अब बच्चा जाए वहां पर उसको कहीं ना कहीं peace मिले, कहीं उधर उधर distract ना हो बच्चा. So what I am observing, my parents also saying that now my child is just going towards that the child is sleeping calmly. And of course, when we sleep good, we take good sleep, and we get up without any pain, without any hustle bustle, without any disturbance in our mind, we perform best. And my students are also doing so. So, and it definitely yoga boosts a self-esteem and resilience, which is really required nowadays. Resilience, what is the meaning of resilience? This is acceptance. This is adaptation, or adopt karna hai ki kisi cheez ko kaise, like the things are not very smooth in life. So how we will adopt anything? क्या एक किसी तरीके से किस तरीके से आपको मैनेज करना है, बिहेव मैनेजमेंट में बहुत हेल्प करता है योगा. जैसे अचिन सर का भी मुझे आई रियली अप्रिशिएट कर्म योगा, भक्ति योगा एंड ज्ञान योगा. उनका भी बहुत डीप इंसाइट गवारी मैम मुझे लगा. But in a school, what we are doing, just we are giving them a small session of meditation also, which is improving their concentration level, which is making them calm, which is making them a better person, better version of their personality, what they had during pandemic and what they are now. They are totally different. Means I observed at least 60% change in my students. And I must share my experience or what I read in Times of India before a couple of weeks, that 80%, more than 80% people in India, their emotional quotient is very poor. And why it is poor? Just because females and children, they all are feeling themselves suffering. And I must say that Philip sir, Achin sir, Khurana sir, and Geeta sir will, Geeta ma'am will also do this, will also be agree with it, that our emotional quotient, parents' emotional quotient is very weak here. And what they are doing, that the child is observing their behavior at home, and the child is repeating that behavior in the school also. लाइक सर ने बोला कि उनको बाहर ले जाने से ज्यादा अच्छा है कि हम यहाँ पर टीच करें, एक ऐसी पीसफुल जगह पर भेज दें. और खुराना सर भी he was also up to that practice to sit with yourself for 5 minutes, so which is really highly required to introspection, to do introspection, just talk to yourself. So what we are doing at a school, and they are just talking to themselves. Blood circulation, which is highly required, like we are sending our students to ground, they are just jogging, and negativity also removes with these such kind of activities. When the mind is concentrated to one place, so how can we go here and there? We will not be going here and there. And Geeta ma'am, as she's saying that we are running after technology and evolution, but what we are losing, we don't know. We are not assessing that. We are not assessing our disadvantages of their progress, this progress. We all are running after so many things, but parents are also running after so many things, but where they are lacking, they are not giving enough time to the child. This is the personal experience of my school, that few of the children are not taking much time from their parents. They're not spending quality time with them. And their mental balance and their mental status and their gesture and posture was quite disturbing, and I observed it personally. So I send that child in yoga center, in my yoga class, most of the time, means once in a day. Few students regularly visit that place, and one of my teacher who is yoga trained, she is also taking and spending her beautiful time with them. And what I observed, that it is improving their academic performances also. What they were, okay, I am accepting this, that the mark and the result is not a parameter to judge a child, but at a certain level, we need to improvise the child academic performance. This is our ultimate goal. Holistic development can be done with the basic beautiful needs, the basic start. When we start controlling the behavior of a student, no, this is not right. We cannot control a child's behavior. It is your power. If you are controlling a child, you can just modify that character by showing your discipline, your dedication, and just because the students are only observing you. And as per my experience, what you are teaching at a school, only 10% of your teaching will be there with the child in future after 10 years and 15 years. But soft skills, what you are teaching here, discipline, resilience, and honesty, what we are teaching here will be there in their life, in their entire personality till their full life. So what I want for all the educationists, that we need to introduce true yoga to our children, to follow up the real tradition of our country, and we can inculcate good things in students' behavior. And of course, when we are in our path, and truly we are devoting our time to maintain the behavior of the student, definitely they will be a global citizen. So this is up to from my side, and so many benefits we are facing together of using yoga classes here, of conduction of yoga classes here. So we are also observing the changing behavior and the calmness and the fullness, means fullness of the student. So I'm really up to that everybody in each and every school, it should be introduced. Thank you so much, all dignitaries, and you have enlightened with your thought, Philip sir, Achin sir, Khurana sir, and Geeta ma'am. Really, I also learned a lot from all of you. And thank you, Gagori ma'am, for making me a part of this.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, we have a question for the panel. Whoever wants to take it, it's from the audience. Like, what can parents do to manage the anger issues of a teenage child or an adolescent child at home, and how to deal with it, and how do parents reach out to the school and convince them to conduct anger management issues? I think Geeta ma'am is okay to answer it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gaguri ma'am. I think this is the crux of the whole matter. Yeah, sometimes, we need to remember that the child is inside the school, but we parents are, the parents and the school need to partner together in the well-being of the child and the growth of the child in totality. That is what is the wholesome education all about. Wholesome education is not about having all the activities in the school and then nothing at home. So it has to blend together. So as parents, what we can do at home is the first thing is accept the behavior, accept the response, the way, however it is. Please do not scold them if they're expressing their honest emotions. That's one thing. Second thing is maybe they are picking up from the environment at home or at school. So we need to regulate the environment at home. They should know how exactly we need to address our emotions. So, and when you accept that emotion, when the child is angry or the child is upset, that is not the right time to give advice. Allow the child to express. And there would be a moment when the child has expressed its feeling fully. Then you can maybe sit down and ask, okay, you felt bad, you said this, but you know what? There are different ways of expressing what you have done and the harmful effects of whatever you did. How is it going to affect you? You shouted, actually. You should have just said this. Instead of, what we are doing as adults, we make them feel bad. How could you shout? How could you say this? And then the child is made to feel guilty about the response. But actually, response is the honest response. And that is why we are parents. And they are not parents and we are not children. They are children and we are parents. So we need to parent them as to how to address the same issues. There is one very important aspect when the child is actually taking up the adolescent stage. They have a lot of things happening at school. The self-expression, self-impression matters a lot. They would be coming home and saying that, somebody's bet me today or somebody said this comment to me today. We ignore it thinking these are all small things. That particular time, if we can have the listening space where the child is listened to and we hear, okay, this happened, then this happened. What exactly was your response when the child commented at you? If you don't listen to the children, then the child is not going to get help. So the second most important thing would be listen to your child. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we had a wonderful discussion. Thanks to all the panelists, Rajan sir, Manjula ma'am, Geeta ma'am. Thank all of you for contributing to this forum, and wanted to call back Achin for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, Gauri, I think a wonderful session, very seamless and very insightful as well. This particular topic has so much of depth, and it's really wonderful to see such deliberations. But sir, thank you as always for giving us a great start, for discussing about your experience both in Doon School as well as your earlier stint in Delhi. I think, and some wonderful tips from you, undoubtedly. Rajan sir, thank you so much. I think one very interesting thing you mentioned, which actually sums up the whole thing, anger management, losing control. So I think that's a challenge not only for school students or for teenagers. I think that's a challenge for us adults as well. It's a very important aspect of life, keeping control over our emotions. I think maintaining that composure. It also helps in taking the right decisions. So at a later point of time, we don't repent with regard to the fact that, yes, we lost control and we went overboard. So I think wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for your deliberation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Geeta ma'am, thank you. I think this really stays with us. Your experience at Pondicherry that you mentioned, I could just imagine that, a long bell going for 5 minutes, meditation, not only students, but all staff, whosoever, immediately They pause what they're doing, and students holding hands and meditating. Wonderful. Must be a great experience. Also, I think the other thing that you mentioned, I think very, very important, that becoming role models. So instead of just preaching, actually practicing what we want our children to do. So as to ensure that escalating behavior, aggressive behavior is not encouraged, is not inculcated in them. So I think great tips. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time and for your deliberation. Manjula, ma'am, again, thank you so much. I think very practical insight you mentioned, challenges that the pandemic brought in, and because of that, lack of activity subsequently. So I think, of course, activities like yoga, meditation have a lot to do in terms of improvement of our lifestyle management as well, and increasing our attention span. And so that negativity also goes away. So I think overall great session. I'm sure members of our esteemed audience had some great takeaways from this, and we look forward to your continued support in the sessions to come. Thank you, take care, and goodbye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Achin sir. It was such a wonderful session to connect with all of you. Thank you, Philip sir. Learned a lot, and thank you, Rajan sir. It was really wonderful, Gaguri. Thanks for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta, ma'am. Thank you so much. Pleasure is all
Thank you
ours.
so much.
Thank you.